Elvis Presley's stage antics were about to become a source of great controversy, but it wasn't his dancing or singing that sparked the outrage, at least not directly. It started with something as simple as a playful exchange between Elvis and his stage partner Bill. During performances, after Elvis would belt out a song, Bill would try to engage the audience with a light-hearted rhyme about roses being red and violets being purple. But Elvis, ever the showman, had his own way of keeping the crowd entertained. One day, after a particularly energetic performance, Elvis couldn't resist. "No, Bill, violets are blue," he said, pausing for dramatic effect before pulling out a pair of pink panties from his jacket pocket. The audience erupted in laughter, but the Colonel, Elvis's manager Tom Parker, saw red literally and figuratively. This small act of mischief was the final straw in a long line of what Parker saw as unprofessional behavior. For years, Parker had been the driving force behind Elvis's career, making most of the important decisions while Elvis focused on singing. But now, Parker's influence was expanding. He started making moves to take control of Elvis's business affairs, too. Parker saw Sun Records, the label that had launched Elvis's career, as a limiting factor. He believed Elvis needed a bigger platform to reach his full potential. Sam Phillips, the founder of Sun Records, had always been protective of his artist. He had a point. Sun was a small label and Elvis was becoming a national sensation, but Parker saw an opportunity. Other major labels like MGM, Columbia, Atlantic, and RCA were all vying for Elvis's contract. Parker knew how to play the game. He started by asking for an astronomical $40,000 for Elvis, a price he knew the other labels wouldn't match. When Atlantic offered $20,000, Parker used his connections to keep the door open for further negotiations. While Elvis was on tour, Parker took matters into his own hands. He wrote to Elvis's parents, asking them to sign a document giving Parker the right to negotiate a new deal on Elvis's behalf. Bob Neal, Elvis's father, was furious when he found out about this behind-the-scenes maneuvering. Parker's tactics created tension between him and Neal, leading to friction that would affect their working relationship. Elvis was caught in the middle, aware that Parker's actions were in his best interest but resentful of the way things were being handled. He trusted Sam Phillips and the familiarity of Sun Records. But the lure of bigger opportunities and the pressure from Parker were hard to ignore. Elvis's ambition was strong, and he didn't want to rock the boat just yet. Back at Sun Records, Sam Phillips was struggling with his own doubts. He genuinely believed that Parker was making the right call for Elvis's future, despite his reservations. The music industry was notoriously unpredictable, and Sam knew that sometimes tough decisions had to be made. But the more Parker pushed, the more Sam felt like he was losing control. The turning point came one night in October 1955 during a recording session for a new song, "When It Rains It Really Pours." After the session, Sam called Elvis into the office. He had received an offer from RCA, the giant record company, and after much deliberation, he had agreed to sell Elvis's contract. Sam was not happy about it, but he believed it was the best path for Elvis's career. The deal was substantial: $35,000 for Elvis's recordings and outstanding royalties, plus additional bonuses. Elvis was both flattered and worried. He asked Sam if RCA would treat him as well as Sun had. Sam reassured him that RCA believed in him and would give him the freedom to express himself. With that, Elvis's days at Sun Records came to an end. The deal was signed and Elvis was on his way to RCA, marking the start of a new chapter in his life and career. The shock of this decision would ripple through the music industry, changing the course of rock and roll forever. In December 1955, a new chapter began for Elvis Presley. It was a time filled with excitement and change, but also one where he couldn't quite see the future clearly. As his fame grew, people recognized him everywhere in Memphis. They smiled and said nice things, but Elvis enjoyed the attention without any of the chaos that often came with it. He spent his money freely, something he hadn't been able to do before. Elvis's earnings had skyrocketed. In just 1 year, he made $25,240, which was way more than he would have earned working at Crown Electric. This newfound wealth changed everything. He treated himself to new clothes at Lansky's and spent time in the record stores, becoming a regular. He also bought equipment for his parents and gifts, though he wished he had a girlfriend to share Christmas with. Instead of a traditional holiday, Elvis spent more time performing on the Grand Ole Opry. His manager, Colonel Parker, or the Colonel as he was commonly called, wanted to make sure Elvis made a good impression. The Colonel sent a note to one of Elvis's associates, telling him to keep an eye on Elvis during performances. This made Elvis a bit uncomfortable, but he didn't complain. After all, the Colonel was making him lots of money. As Christmas approached, Elvis found himself performing longer sets on the radio show. To keep things under control, the Colonel asked another friend from high school, Red West, to join Elvis on tour as an unpaid driver and bodyguard. Red helped keep fans and sometimes their friends at bay. Having someone from outside the band around was helpful, especially as the attention from fans started to shift away from Scotty, Bill, and DJ, Elvis's musical friends. One day while touring, Elvis met Mae Axton, a publicist he had met before in Florida. Mae was confident and direct, and she had something special to show him. She wanted him to listen to a demo she had recorded. At first, the idea of a song about suicide didn't sit well with Elvis. But when he heard the melody and lyrics, he changed his mind. The song Heartbreak Hotel, with its vivid imagery of a lonely hotel, captivated him. He knew right away it could be a big hit. Mae explained that the song was inspired by a newspaper story about a man who had written a note before taking his own life. Although the theme was heavy, Elvis saw the song's potential. He began singing it wherever he went, and soon it became his first hit with RCA Records. The song's dark and catchy tune resonated with listeners, marking the start of Elvis's journey in the music industry with a powerful and memorable track. As Elvis embraced this new phase of his life, he was stepping into a world where every decision would soon be shaped by money. Little did he know, his path forward would be heavily influenced by those who stood to gain from his success. Elvis Presley's time in Nashville for his first RCA recording session was filled with challenges and learning moments. It was early January, just after his 21st birthday, and he and his band were eager to get started. They knew the songs inside out from touring, but the big difference was the studio setup. The big hall at RCA felt different from Sun Studio, where Elvis was used to recording. The big space made Elvis nervous because he liked to move around while singing, something the initial setup didn't allow. Steve Scholes, RCA's producer, was worried too. He had pushed hard to sign Elvis and brought in experienced musicians to back him. But even he was unsure how Elvis would perform in the big studio. Elvis, sensing the tension, insisted on moving to make his performance better. After some adjustments with extra microphones, he felt more comfortable and relaxed. The first song they recorded was "I Got a Woman," a song Elvis knew well from touring. Despite familiarity, he struggled to stay in front of the microphone while moving. Scholes tried to reassure him, but it took some time to get it right. They managed to capture the song with Elvis moving freely, making use of 2 microphones. Next up was "Heartbreak Hotel," a dark and eerie song. The RCA engineers struggled to replicate the unique sound they got at Sun Studio, especially the famous slapback echo effect. The result was a recording that sounded more like Elvis was shouting into a well. However, Elvis was pleased with the piano break by Floyd Kramer and felt they had something special, especially knowing he would share in the songwriting and publishing profits as per his new contract. Over the next couple of days, they recorded 5 songs. This was much less than what Elvis and his band had released in the past 2 years at Sun. RCA's approach was different. They preferred shorter sessions, focusing on efficiency over long, immersive recording days. They recorded popular songs like "Money Honey," a few new ballads, and "I Was the One," which Elvis had wanted to record at Sun but couldn't. Elvis made a unique choice during these sessions. He invited gospel singers to join them, sitting down at the piano to sing hymns before starting the official recordings. It was a way for him to warm up and feel more at ease. This became a habit for him in future sessions. Back in Memphis, Elvis felt good about the sessions, but in Nashville, Steve Sholes was not so sure. He sent the recordings to the big shots at RCA in New York, and the feedback was harsh, particularly on Heartbreak Hotel. Even Sam Phillips, who had initially signed Elvis, disliked it, calling it a morbid, melodramatic mess. Yet Elvis stood by his belief in the song, knowing it was special. Against all odds, RCA decided to release Heartbreak Hotel, alongside other tracks from the Nashville session, just before Elvis's big TV debut on CBS. This decision came despite the uncertainty around the new song and the overall sound of the session. Elvis's TV debut was a significant moment. It was a live show hosted by Jackie Gleason, featuring Perry Como, and was broadcast from CBS Studio 50 in New York. Elvis was nervous but ready. Dressed simply, he looked more like he belonged on TV after some makeup help. As he began with Shake, Rattle, and Roll, his initial nerves melted away. The audience, initially subdued, started to react positively to his energetic performance, especially during the guitar break. However, there was a twist. Despite Elvis's success on the show, Heartbreak Hotel was not part of the set list for this appearance. The producers at RCA seemed to prefer other songs from the session. This was ironic, as Elvis knew the producers wouldn't like the song's lyrics, just like the TV show's team. Yet the song's release was a gamble that paid off, showcasing Elvis's unique sound and style to a wider audience. In the end, Elvis's first RCA session in Nashville was a mix of challenges and breakthroughs. It showed his determination and artistry, and set the stage for his future success. Despite initial doubts and struggles, Elvis proved that he had something special, a sound and presence that would capture the hearts of many. His journey from a small town to the big stage was just beginning, and people were ready to watch.